Okay, so we're going to continue working with multiplying fractions, but this time in the form of word problems. So your goal for this lesson is I will multiply fractions from a word problem. Now, oftentimes students struggle with word problems because they have a difficult time differentiating which type of operation to use. And so I'm going to show you some keywords that may be helpful in identifying if it's a multiplication problem. Now, I will say that while I give you these keywords, sometimes they will not be there. So while these are helpful, you also need to make sure that you are reading the problem and using critical thinking reading strategies to identify, hey, what is this problem actually asking me to do? Okay, so how do I know if it's a multiplication problem? So one thing that you can do is look for this word of. So two examples of what I mean by that is if your word problem says one number of another. So 3/5 of 7/8 or 1/8 of a half. And remember, this word half actually means the fraction 1/2. So don't let that deceive you either. Okay. You also want to look for the word product because remember that the word product means the answer to a multiplication problem, or you're going to look for the word times. This could look like how many times more does Sam weigh, or 3.5 times more than her. Okay, so those are some examples. Now, as we read through these word problems, I'm going to ask you to follow 3 or 4 steps. And I say 3 or 4 because 4 is kind of optional, okay? These are steps that we're going to do with fractions, with decimals, with ratios, with geometry word problems, with statistics word problems. We're going to use them all year long. The 4 steps in total will sometimes take you less than 30 seconds to follow. But what they're going to do is they're going to ensure, am I reading the problem? Am I using the correct operation to solve the problem? And do I really understand what the problem is about? Okay, so step 1 is pretty simple. I'm going to ask you to read the problem once. And that should be something that you do anyway. Okay, so that's kind of a freebie. Step 2, I'm going to ask you to highlight the question in one color. Now, if you're not a highlighter kind of person, that's fine. Underline the question for me. That's not too hard either, okay? As you're reading through it, highlight it, underline it, okay? Step 3 is probably the most difficult one. In a different color than you highlighted the question, or in a different type of underline marking than you underlined the question, I want you to highlight the words that tell you what the operation is going to be. Okay, so if it's addition, it might be the word altogether or total. If it's a multiplication problem, it might be this number of this number, or product or times. If it's a division problem, it might be divided into this many teams. Okay, that's going to ensure, hey, I do know that this problem is asking me to do this type of operation. Now, step 4 is going to be optional. So step 4, drawing a picture oftentimes helps, and sometimes I'm going to be honest, it doesn't help. So in multiplying fractions and even in multiplying decimals, sometimes it doesn't help. And in fact, sometimes it could be confusing. But in adding fractions together, or in subtracting fractions, or in dividing fractions, it can sometimes be helpful. And so if you believe a picture is going to help you, draw it. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at our first problem. So Rick has half of a foot-long sub left from yesterday. He ate 1/3 of the leftover sandwich as a snack. What fraction of the entire sandwich did he eat as a snack? So I've read it once. Now I'm going to get out my highlighter and I'm going to highlight the question. What fraction of the entire sandwich did he eat as a snack? I've already completed 2 steps of the 4-step annotation process in about 15 seconds. Step 2 is I need to figure out my operation, and this sometimes requires that you read the problem one more time. Rick has half of a foot-long sub left from yesterday. He ate 1/3 of the leftover sandwich. I found it because it says 1/3 of the leftover sandwich. And I know that leftover sandwich is is 1/2, okay? And now I know that my operation is multiplication. So I'm going to do 1/2 times 1/3. And I'm just going to simply multiply straight across. 1 times 1 is 1. 2 times 3 is 6. And so my answer is that he ate 1/6 of the entire sandwich as a snack. All right, let's take a look at the next problem. Homeroom A and homeroom B share a hallway bulletin board. Now, in this case, I already know that I might be helped by having a picture, but I'm going to keep reading. Homeroom A and homeroom B share a hallway bulletin board. If homeroom A uses 3/5 of their half to display the artwork, what fraction of the bulletin board is used to display homework A's artwork? So I'm going to follow the protocol, and I'm going to go ahead and highlight the question. What fraction of the bulletin board is used to display, and that is a typo. That is supposed to say display, not displace. Display homeroom A's artwork. Okay, now I need to find my operation. Homeroom A and homeroom B share a hallway bulletin board. If homeroom A uses, here it is, 3/5 of their half. Remember I told you that word half, it's really a fraction. It's 1/2. But I also want to draw a picture because I think that this will be helpful, because it's talking about a bulletin board, which is pretty easy to visualize. So here's a bulletin board. They share a bulletin board. This is A, this is B. Homeroom A uses 3/5 of this part of their bulletin board, okay? So I know I am not even dealing with any of this, and that just helped me out. So this right here is going to tell me it's multiplication. So 3/5 times 1/2. I'm going to multiply straight across. 3 times 1 is 3. 5 times 2 is 10. So homeroom A uses 3/10 of their half to display their artwork. All right. A paint store has 25 gallons of paint in storage, 2/5 of which are for outdoor use. The others are for indoor use. If each gallon costs $22, what is the total cost of the indoor paint in storage? So this is a multi-step problem. First of all, because it's asking, well, actually, I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me go ahead and follow the protocol. So it wants to know what is the total cost of the indoor paint in storage, okay? Now I need to figure out my operation. So a paint store has 25 gallons of paint in use, of paint in storage, 2/5 of which are for outdoor use. The others are for indoor use. If each gallon costs $22, what is the total cost of indoor paint in storage? So here I have 2/5 of which are for outdoor use. Now, that means how much is for indoor use? Well, if 2/5 are for outdoor use, 3/5 are for indoor use, okay? So, how much of the 3/5 of 25 gallons is how much? So I'm going to go ahead and multiply. 3/5 times 25. Now I know when I have a whole number, I need to put it over 1. Now I'm going to check to see if I can cross cancel here. 3/5, I can't cross cancel. 25/1, I can't cross cancel. 3/1 diagonally, I cannot cross cancel. 25/5, I can cross cancel because 25 goes into 5 times, and 5 goes into 5 1 time. So 3 times 5 is 15, and 1 times 1 is 1, which leaves me with just 15. Now, I am not done, and that is the reason why we highlight the question, because all I figured out is that there are 15 15 gallons of indoor paint. 25 or 15 of the 25 gallons are the indoor paint. But my question is asking me, what's the total cost? Well, each gallon cost $22. So now I need to multiply $22 times 15. So 5 times 2 is 10. 5 times 2 is 10 plus 1 is 11. 2 times 1 is 2. 2 times 1 is 2. 0, 3, and 3. So the total cost is $330. And that was a multi-step problem. All right, let's take a look at our last example. Juliet is making fruit salad. She purchased 9 2/3 ounces of each of the 6 different types of each 6 different fruits. How many ounces of fruit did she purchase? So I'm going to go ahead and do my highlighting. So here's my question. How many ounces of fruit did she purchase? And then where's my operation? She purchased 9 2/3 ounces of each 6 different fruits. So there you go. There's my operation. There's my of right there. So I'm going to multiply 9 2/3 times 6. Now I'm going to throw that 6 over the 1, but I also have to take care of this mixed number. I need to turn it into an improper fraction. So 3 times 9 is 27, plus 2 is 29. So 29 over 3 times 6 over 1. And I'm going to see if I can cross cancel so I don't end up with a really big number. So 29 and 3 can't go anywhere. 6 and 1 can't go anywhere. 6 and 3, I can make that smaller. Okay? So I can make this a 2 and a 1. Because if I had 6 over 3, it would turn into 2 over 1. And I can't do anything else. So when I multiply across, I have 29 times 2, which is going to be 58. And 1 times 1 is 1, which means she made 58 ounces of fruit. All right, that is the end of multiplication word problems. Remember to just look for your keywords, but if they're not there, read the problem, use your annotation skills. They take you all of maybe 60 seconds total. All right, ask me any questions you have in class.